Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
All right, everyone, we are back live. And if you look at the screen, we are actually very live in Ames, Iowa, outside of Jack Trice Stadium for another edition of In the Side of the Storm. I'm Dave Larson, along with my Storm team partners, Marcus Pfizer and Brent Curvey. Fellas, it has been a while. It is so good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing well, blessed, for
That's
sure.
It, man.
Grateful to be here, man.
That's what it's about.
Well, we're here. We've finally survived spring and summer, and football season is now upon us. And in just, 3 short days, we're going to have a packed crowd here at Jack Trice Stadium as the Cyclones take on the North Dakota State. I think they're the Fighting Sioux or something close to that.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I don't even know.
You know, this is my favorite time. I'm excited.
Well, and of all seasons, this is one that has, I think we're all pretty jazzed about. I'm looking at all the press conferences have been going on now, and the coaches' shows are now in full swing, and all the podcasts and news reports are coming out. This is really starting to shape up to be a pretty exciting year. We've now have 16 teams in the Big 12, a little bit of a different formula in terms of scheduling, and now we've got really 3 big conferences between the Big 12, the SEC, and the Big 10. And then we've got the ACC, of course, that there's a lot of turmoil that seems to be going on over there. But all we can do is focus really on Iowa State right now. And you're right. I totally agree. This is an exciting time for all of us.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with all of these mega conferences and see how we're able to compete. Hopefully, we can stay atop of the Big 12 like we've been doing over the last years, but to open it up to bring in more competition, I'm excited to see how we can fare in those times.
I'm glad we got more. Obviously, I hope we get a couple more because obviously the further we travel, the more teams we play, the more exposure we get. So, that's something that Iowa State has lacked from a football perspective for years. So I just love adding the extra teams in, man, getting to Arizona and, Arizona State type of teams, like getting those guys in, we can move around and grab more fans from those states to choose for us. Looking forward to it.
Well, and as we talked a little bit about this year's team, there's been a little bit of a change up defensively. Brent, I really would like to hear your thoughts on this. So for the last, 4, 5, 6 seasons, we've had that 3-man front that really has become pretty popular with a lot of teams now throughout the country. It's not just an Iowa State thing, but we were really on the forefront of that. And we've heard some discussions maybe going around that our defense may switch it up a little bit and go to a 4-man front. Can you, from your perspective, share what's the difference between a 3 and a 4 and some of those responsibilities and how this defense might look this year and compared to what we've grown accustomed to?
I mean, the reality is we usually have a bigger linebacker, so he's essentially like another lineman, right? So in our 3-3-5 defense, so it's really not much of a change from that perspective. Everybody has a certain gap. They're kind of flying around, so to speak. But gosh, what was his 32? I forget his name from last year, but the bigger the guys, they're more gap fillers. So the heavier gap fillers are more interior linemen, so to speak. So most teams will do a 3-3-5 or a shell of a 3-3-5 defense if they don't have 4 solid linemen that they can play, let alone rotate. So that's kind of been I think not an issue, but something that Iowa State hasn't necessarily had. They haven't really been deep across the front to be able to play or maintain a 4-down front. So I think now we kind of got some bigger guys, some really good sized bodies in there, and we actually have depth. So that might actually help with that. So it's a lot better against the run. It's tougher for defenses to pick up on a 3-3-5 scheme because you really have no idea where the blitz is coming from. 4 downs are a little bit more predictable because then you got to drop a lineman out in coverage and blitz a linebacker sort of thing to kind of mix it up. But when you got 3 downs, you really don't know if, what linebacker's coming or if they're going to, throw a DB out there or whatever. It just allows for more, shelling, kind of showcasing things. But from what I've seen in clips, I haven't seen them in play, but it looks like we're fairly deep across the front. Guys look a little bit bigger, a lot stronger, a little faster. So I think that might be part of the reason we're, kind of sneak in some 4-down front. We've done it some too in the past as well, but a lot of people wouldn't necessarily notice it. When they walk a guy down, that's the same as a 4-man front. Just another linebacker, but now we have a guy's hand in the dirt and a little bit more stout against the run. So.
Now, when you played, I won't say what year.
Yeah.
It's been a while. You were predominantly 4-man front, right?
Yep, 4-man front. Yep. We were 4 down. 4 down to 3 backers behind. So
and I think
heavy on the run stopping. I think for us, we were really heavy on the run stopping. I think 05 was probably one of the best defenses from a run stopping perspective. Yards per game, that sort of thing. So, that definitely helps.
And you had some studs behind you, right? I mean, as I remember, you had some pretty decent cornerbacks and safeties
absolutely
back there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Steve Paris, Nick Mosier, LaMarcus Hicks, and DeAndre Jackson. They were stout on the outside, so that helped us a lot too. So,
and this year's defense feels a little bit like that team in that you've got some strong guys on the interior line, notably Dominique Orange, who, if you haven't seen him, he's a big guy.
Yeah,
he takes up a lot of space, and I get the sense that they really want to put more pressure on the quarterback this year. We didn't have quite as many sacks as we have had in years past, and maybe the 4-man front is going to help put more pressure on the quarterback. Yeah,
it'll definitely help create more one-on-one opportunities up front. You got a 3-down front, it's basically 3 against 5, right? It's they can kind of tell who they want to leave alone, but there's always somebody to help. That makes sense. But if we got a 4-down front, it's kind of tough. You got 5-on-4, so now you can't necessarily dictate what side the rush is coming from. We can kind of run games up front and create mismatches, and gives us more opportunities to get the backfield. So I think that'll be big for them, having a 4-down front for sure.
On the offensive side, we've got a lot of skilled positions that are coming back, led by Rocco Beck and Abu Sama at the running back position. But really, dynamically, the wide receiver position, that looks like it's a huge strength for us. Jackson went down with a leg injury, which is disappointing. But we've got those transfers that are coming in from Army and from North Dakota State that really – that seems to be like it's going to be something that we're going to have some people to be able to throw the ball to this year.
Yeah, for sure. I think having that tight end too. Is it what's his name? Brammer? Is it
Brammer? Yeah, he's a stud.
I mean, having him is going to help open up a lot of guys too. So when you got a good tight end, that can kind of take some pressure off of those receivers, that allows them to go actually be ball players too and make more plays. So be really good for Jalen and the guys on the outside. Got to kind of look at Jalen and another, I forget number 9. I forget their names. Don't have a roster in front of me, so I don't want to.
Hey, this is our first game back ourselves, so give us a little bit of grace. We didn't have a preseason to be able to knock some of this out.
Right. Yeah. But those guys, man, getting that. I've had my eyes on them, and they look like the receiving core looks really, really good. Physically, they look the part, and I think they're going to surprise a lot of people this year.
So the depth chart came out the other day, and I did find it interesting that Jalen Knoll is both the kick returner and the punt returner. I guess if I had any concerns, that might be it. Having him back there, he's pretty valuable as a wide receiver. So I'll be curious to see how that shakes out as we go into the season here. But at the same token, he's someone that the coaching staff obviously trusts back there. So you got to put that guy, you got to put him in. But I'll be curious to see if they maybe change it up if he tweaks an ankle or something along the way, and they say, let's bring in one of the other younger guys to fill into that role.
Yeah, it's possible. I think, you want guys that can for sure catch the rock and they know what to do with it in their hands, because he's been returning punts for us too. So, major difference. But, I think you want somebody you want to give your playmakers a chance to make plays, and that's what he's good at doing. So it's a great start. I think, towards the end of the year, we'll see if that, kind of holds true. Maybe we get somebody in towards the end of the season, but I think that's a great way to, send a message. We want our best at all the best spots to impact the game. So
one of the things I don't know if any of you guys caught the game last week in Ireland between Florida State and Georgia Tech, but it was kind of fun to be able to watch that and think, oh, that's going to be us next year playing against Kansas State. Any thoughts on that game?
I didn't get to see it, so
no, me either.
I saw there was an upset, but I didn't see how everything went.
It was a big upset. Florida State, I wouldn't say that they played their best game, but really Georgia Tech protected the ball, and they did a pretty nice job. They reminded me a lot of us. Played sound offense, didn't try to get over their skis too much, and just played disciplined football. Georgia Tech really deserved to win that game. They did a nice job, and I don't think Florida State really DJU, I think they kept calling him, the transfer that started at Clemson, went to Washington State, or Oregon State, excuse me, and then now it's transferred at Florida State. He wasn't really overly impressive either.
Why was that game so early?
Well, that was the week 0 game, which ironically, was 20 years ago that Iowa State played Florida State in a week 0 game in the Eddie Robinson Classic.
Oh, okay.
The infamous Seneca was in game down in Kansas City, if you recall that game.
No, I don't remember that. I've never seen this. First time I heard about it, but I was wondering, when I saw that game, I was like, oh, okay, well, games have started, but that's the only one that was showing. I was like, well, what? Why is that game being played? So I didn't know why. Yeah.
And I haven't seen the schedule yet. I don't know if there's any Thursday night games, but I believe there's some Friday night games that begin this week. There's an ACC game or two, and then we move into the full slate on Saturday.
Yeah.
But get busy. Wings and popcorn, man. It's time to show up.
That's right.
A little bit.
And come on out to Jack Trice. So just to give you guys a lay of the land here, obviously we've got the stadium behind me, and then the lots have been redone. Of course, the seaside, which is, so I'm on the north side of the stadium that sits between Hilton Coliseum and Jack Trice. So the more eastern side was repaved for last year's games. The more western side has now been paved. They still have construction crews that are out there that are working, but I drove out there and all the lines are painted. Tailgates are ready to go. They've got kaibos that are being set up. So it should be a great game. The weather, I think, is supposed to be absolutely beautiful on Saturday, mid-80s. So if if you don't have your tickets, now's the time to hurry up and get them, because I think it's going to be just a packed stadium at Jack Trice next here in 3 days.
That's it. Is it going to be streamed at all?
Fox Sport or FS1, I think, at 2:30.
FS1?
Yeah.
2:30 Central Time.
Central Time, Marcus. Yeah. Now, one of the things I want your input that I found, and Chris, who's producing tonight's show, was going to pull up a graphic with a top 25 poll that came out, and you'll notice on here that I believe that there were 5 Big 12 teams. It's hard to call it Big 12 when we have 16, but it is what it is. So there's 5 teams in the top 25 from the Big 12, none inside of that top 10. And this is pretty important because for the new playoff system, if you're an automatic top 4 seed just by winning the Big 12. And I know that I think we've grown accustomed to the round robin where you get a chance to play every team. Last year, that wasn't the case. And of course, this year with 16 teams, that's not going to be the case. And the teams that are really vying for that top spot in the Big 12, Iowa State's in there, Kansas State's in there, Utah's in there. But of those teams, Utah and Kansas State do not face each other at all, which means potentially they could run and be undefeated for the season, play for the Big 12 championship, and only one of those is going to be guaranteed a slot in the new playoff. Any thoughts as you take a look at this top 25 list, at least this first go around of teams that are in there? I don't think I could argue too much with maybe the order of the top 4 or 5, but any thoughts on what you see there with the top 25?
I didn't think Michigan was going to be that high.
Yeah, they've lost a lot of players.
Yeah,
and a coach, obviously.
And then it'll be one of those things where they lose early. Then they at 24. Like it should have been at 24 in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, that's honestly, man, this stuff outside of maybe the top 5 or something, it's always going to be up for grabs. Quite honestly, the first week, I always look at this stuff like, man, this is like that way too early stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like you always get those way too early rankings. This is all kind of speculation. We'll see, because it'll definitely be a whole lot of shaking up in this. But I say your top 5 teams are solid, but there'll be constant movement everywhere else, if you ask me.
Well, one of the unfortunate things is that we're going to see 12 teams in the new playoff, but if you're not, you could still be in the top 10 and maybe be not included in the new playoff, because if one of those non-Power 5 schools, I think they have to allow one of the non-Power 5 schools in. So you're talking about like a Boise State or a team like that could sneak in. Well, then that potentially could kick out a team from the Big 12 or a team from probably not necessarily the Big 10 or the SEC, because they seem to be playing with all of they seem to have the house rules on all this and seem to be able to kind of dictate who goes where for what. So I'll be curious to see, but I can imagine a situation though where Iowa State is in that playoff. Could you imagine hosting a playoff game at Jack Trice Stadium in November? What that's going to be like?
I'll definitely be there for that.
Home field advantage, that's for sure. That cold is going to shock somebody. That means I guarantee you we'll have somebody from the South that comes up here. And that's where the fun will kick in November.
And Marcus, we're going to have to dress you up because you're so used to that Vegas heat right now. I don't know that you could survive an Iowa winter anymore.
Man, I'll put on the coat so fast. That's all I got to do.
We'll have to get you like a thermal blanket with that's attached to a power cord, so that way you can stay warm the whole time.
I got a couple Iowa State scarves. I'm gonna bundle up. I might put on a mitten.
Locked and loaded, baby.
Man, I can't deal with those winters no more.
I would say so.
But yeah, I would love to come back with something like that for sure. I'm planning on trying to get back for a game, football and basketball, this season. But it definitely, I mean, I know it sounds weird, I'm more excited about going to a football game than a basketball game, but I mean, it just is what it is,
Well, and if you do, you'll be able to maybe Chris will let you drive the ambulance that he has set up. So he and I were just talking about before the show. I think he's coming up at 7:00 on Saturday to start tailgating in that van or in that ambulance. He's got it all decked out with a Three Beards Media, and he's ready to go.
Can I fit in it?
It ain't gonna be comfortable for you to drive. That's what I can tell you. You'll be comfortable in the back though. There's a lot of space back there. You're not gonna want to drive it because it was not fun for me. So
well, if it wasn't fun for you, then I know what type time that is.
Yeah,
I'm straight
right now.
And I would probably be remiss, but if you've not been following us on social media, I just want to highlight here some of the swag that is available for purchase to help represent and support the Three Beards shows that we have. I think Chris has a graphic here for everybody to take a look at, but we've got some really cool stuff that represents all of the Three Beards media shows. And I just want to congratulate some of the fellas and ladies from some of the other shows that were put up for Podcast of the Year award. So we've got 3 of those shows under Three Beards. Old Man Strength, which is the OG original podcast for Three Beards, as well as False Starts. And is it Three Blind Refs? Did I call that one right there, Chris? Or are they halfway blind? So if you
Yes, that's right. Three Blind Refs.
Okay.
That's right.
Thank you. So congratulations to those folks. We don't do this because for fame and fortune, I tell you that. It's really about the passion that we have for Iowa State athletics and the university. Right. And these other podcasters we all have full-time jobs and full-time gigs, and we're just doing this because we enjoy it. It's a fun thing to do, but this is a great opportunity to help support us and help support Three Beards Media. So if you can take a look at some of the swag that's out there, support some of those shows, we certainly would appreciate it. So with that, talking about support, let's go ahead and take a quick turn and hear a word from our sponsors. And we'll take a quick pause and come back on the other side.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
All right, we are back. My light has now shut off, so that's fine. So I want to show you guys, check out that beautiful bridge. I've got a truck in the way, but doesn't that look pretty?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
Like that night, man. Love how it looks at nighttime.
So we've got a new season upon us. There's a lot of prognosticators, and it would probably be wrong if I didn't ask you guys your input as we start to focus on this new season. I've seen anywhere. Last year, of course, we ended up with a bull loss down in Memphis. Our final record ended up being 7-6. which really probably exceeded expectations for what we had at the beginning of the year. Remember, a year ago, feels like forever, but we had all the gambling allegations. Hell, at this time, we didn't even know who was going to be the quarterback because of those gambling, the gambling issue that was out there. This year, quarterback position seems to be a lot more comfortable situation. We've got an established starter who can sling it. We've got a great set of wideouts and wide receivers. If anything, there may be a little bit of a question on the offensive line. However, I'm hearing some good things that are coming out. There seems to be a little bit more of a nastiness with this year's group. We've got more experience. As you recall, Brandon Black was a true freshman that started 5 games last season and really played well in that second half of the year. He returns this year as a sophomore, as a true sophomore. So with that, we've got a lot of returning starters, though, and a lot of experience. Any thoughts, or if you were to make a prediction today, and I'm going to ask you to, where do you think that we sit as we close out the end of this year in terms of the Big 12 standings and our overall record?
Well, for me, it's hard to make a prediction. I think, Brent would know more about, the players that's there. With me being so far away, I typically like to try to, reserve until I've seen a couple of games. And I also know that the fact that as the season progresses, of course, we're going to get better. You're going to start off, not so well. There's a lot of acclimating that you got to get with, new guys that's coming in and all of that. So I don't tend to, put much into the first games about how we look. Peaking in the middle of the season, going over into the last parts of the season is when I get really, really excited because, beating teams early on and then don't win many games after that is never fun. So, like I said, I don't like to make too many predictions. I just like to see the progression and being the Uber fan at this moment.
But that's one of the things that we struggle with every year. It seems like September, we just don't get out of the gate very fast. But then October, November, we're a completely different team. That if we're going to have any damage this year, we've got to come out strong. We've got to come out fast, I think, in September.
What do you think, B?
I'm looking at the schedule now, just trying to, what old coaches do, they'll look and say, okay, that's a dub. You know how it goes. Like okay, maybe. I see, obviously, a bowl game. I say I'm kind of on the fringe. So I think we're right at about 8 wins, between 7 and 8 wins this year, is what I see. And that's just early, pure speculation. But I say I see a good, good solid 7 to 8 wins. Yeah. So,
which I think it's pretty remarkable that this program has been built up to that point where 8 wins is a reasonable expectation. Now, there's no more Texas, there's no more Oklahoma, but Utah's pretty damn good.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
One would argue that the Arizona schools, although I'm not very high on Arizona, I know a lot of prognosticators are, and there's probably some justification, but they've lost their coaching staff. I think they're going to be in a little bit of a disarray. It's tough going and having 3 sets of coaches over a 3-year period. So yeah, and they're moving to a new conference. I don't think I'm not as concerned about Arizona as I am someone like a Utah who's proven themselves over the years. Now their fan base I'm about had it with, but I think this is going to be a really fun year in the Big 12. So you're thinking 8 wins, Brent?
I got 8. Going 8. I think a big part of that happens in October. I think when we really start to wake them up. But I think the first couple, I think we'll surprise, few people. I think we can obviously take the first game and we go to Iowa City. I know that's usually not a game that guys get up for, but I feel like it's been in the back of their minds for so long. I think we go up to Iowa City. Got some people, new coordinator up there, and I think we take it back to it. If we go through another start, we go there. feel real confident in my team.
Well, the unique thing about Iowa, and this came out in the news this week, I think it was this week or end of last week, that for the first time since 1978, a head coach by the name of Hayden Fry or Kirk Ferentz will not be on the sidelines because Kirk's suspended for that first game,
Right.
which then he comes back just in time for the game against Iowa State. That sets up a pretty intriguing storyline as they head into that game in Iowa City.
What happened? I hadn't even heard that.
Yeah, so there were some recruiting violations, I think, that were alleged with recruitment of the quarterback that was transferring from Michigan, that he hadn't quite left or hadn't entered the portal yet, and the Iowa staff had already contacted him.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well, everyone does it, so how they got
Right.
caught, I don't know.
What happened with that one kid that was, I can't think of his name. There was a lot of stuff about transferring out.
Hertucken Petrus?
I don't remember his name. Like a lineman kid or something like that, or something about Alabama, going to Alabama, not going out with.
Oh,
you talking about Proctor?
That's Brent's
Proctor.
guy.
Proctor, yeah, he's back in Bama. He's back in Alabama.
Back in Bama.
Yeah, he went back to Alabama. He kind of, I think he figured he made a premature judgment on the coaching staff once Saban left and wanted to come back home. I think it's the old tale of being homesick. You know what I'm saying? You go away for so long, you know, around these new people, and you get home, being around your friends, you feel like the man again, and it's like, and I just think he realized once he got to Iowa that wasn't where he needed to be.
So he was at Alabama first and then went to Iowa?
Yeah.
So he played at both?
No, he didn't play. So he transferred in the spring. So right after that to Iowa. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Now
transferred right in the spring, and then as soon as that semester was up, he was right back. So
did he even finish the semester at Iowa, or it felt like he came back until about spring break, and then
he had to stay like around. You know what I mean? So yeah, he was here still. He had to finish the semester, obviously for eligibility purposes, but you know now these kids do classes online, so you know, I mean. Working out with the team and all of that stuff. So I think he did, you know, kind of did his due diligence with that. And when he was ready, when it was time for him to be released, so to speak, he took off right back to Bama. So, which is where he should have stayed. But, you know, you lose a GOAT like Nick Saban, it's kind of like, I don't know if I stick around. You get a great coach, right, coming in from Washington, but it ain't Nick Saban. So
it ain't Nick Saban.
You know, it's a little different. So,
well, Coach Saban's keeping himself pretty busy with a lot of media, and I've seen some commercials. I think the one I saw today was one of those rental unit properties that you can go out and rent, and he's sitting there on the couch and telling people what to do as they're trying to rent out his place.
Oh yeah, you're gonna still get that check.
No, ain't no doubt about it.
He's Brent's, he's Nick Saban, of course.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, he may need
it. It slowed up a little bit after that. Checks slow up just a little bit.
All right, so we're 2.5 days away. Been through spring practices, summer workouts, fall camp. We're 2.5 days away from the first game. What's going through the minds of the coaching staff, of the players? You know, they're probably sick of seeing each other in the hallways and hitting each other in practice. What's this week like for these players, Brent?
Well, I mean, one, we don't have the old, we called them camp eyes when I was playing, but now you get to see other people, right? School is back in session, so I think it's been a little bit easier for the guys anyway, for the players, because they kind of get to, you know, some sort of normal life, so to speak, and having somebody around town other than them. But it's just the buttoning up at this point. It's all the making sure we got all the scenarios covered, you know, all the details are being taken care of and talked about right now. And guys are just getting used to really just everyday fall school life, right? Football life. So ton of excitement, I'm sure, is just growing up out there and all the frat parties and stuff. So guys are excited to be out and seeing people at this point because that's a tough month, man. When all you see is the same old dude.
Right.
There's nothing else, right? It's a tough month. So yeah, I think there's a lot of excitement just because they can, see something else, man. I just remember being so happy when I saw U-Hauls coming in town. I knew, like, oh, it's no longer just us. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's other people. There's civilian life that exists outside of these walls. And we stayed at the Microtel at the time. So, oh, man, so glad.
So as they lead up into then Friday, walk us through what's that first Friday before your first home game?
Oh, man, it's almost like the old high school days when you wore your jersey around. You were just so excited, right? Ready to play that first game. But, I mean, at this point, it's like, man, we've been preparing for so long. We finally get to put the shells on and hit somebody else. Tired of seeing these guys, like, we work against each other. Now it's time to go actually compete as brothers as opposed to fighting each other. You know what I mean? It's just probably can't sleep that Friday night. Everybody's trying to eat a little light and all of that stuff for the Saturday morning wake up. But just the excitement, man, and then the joy of actually getting to play somebody else for a change.
Now, you both played big-time athletics, basketball and football here at Iowa State. Did you have a preference between Marcus for your tip-off time and Brent kickoff time of day? Was there a preference that you had that you preferred to play in, or did that matter at all?
No, for me, it didn't matter at all. I mean, I was just ready to hoop. No matter what, like Brent said, you get tired of practice. Practice is, there's only so many elbows that I could have taken from Clint Varley and those guys in the post. So whenever the tip-off time was, the earlier was probably better because we got out of practice the day before a little bit earlier. So now just whenever the game time was, just make sure you get enough rest, prep for that and, get ready for lights on.
I always like morning games. I like the 11 and noon kickoffs because
really?
I don't like I didn't really like to eat before games. So it was one of those, let me, get it in and have the rest of my day. Because I mean, night games were fun, but it was such a long day. And I hated really long days on game days because it was, we got to get another walkthrough. And if it wasn't a walkthrough, now we're just sitting around in the bed, like just, relaxing and waiting, right, until we have to leave or go to another meeting. So I was like, let's get to it. I was always just like, put me in the game, like right in front of this. I love the sunlight. Crowd was always crazy. I love the morning stuff.
And you guys are not staying in your own bed that Friday night, right? You guys are
no at the hotel.
Together.
Yeah, hotels. Okay. Yeah, no.
The football team, not the basketball team. Basketball team, you stay in your own place. I don't know what they're doing now. I don't know what they're doing now, but no, we stayed at our own place.
Oh man, that's a lot of distraction there.
Nah, I mean, I guess it's more football players than basketball players in terms of overall, but like you talk about 15 guys and maybe 8 or 9 would play, maybe 7. Yeah. So, no, we just stayed. We tried that one time. And I forget what's the hotel. Leaving like if you're leaving out of campus, if you're getting on the freeway to go back out, but you just keep straight and
Gateway?
It's like a gas station over there.
Okay, Gateway.
Yeah.
Not the Gateway. So the Gateway is the normal one we all always stay at. It's across the street from the Gateway.
Oh, so
like it was one of those new ones. It was new. Of course, shit. This 99 2000. It was new back then.
Yeah, and we tried probably.
It used to be. It used to be. It was the Bay. It was the Big Money in the Suites for a while because my old girlfriend used to work there, and it was I don't know what it was before that, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
But we tried that one time, and I couldn't get no sleep, whatever. And I told Coach Stacey, I was like, "Nah, man, I get some, and he don't do stuff like that. So I don't want to say he gimmicky or superstitious and stuff like that. So when he changes from what he normally does, it throws stuff off. You know, somebody suggests, no, we're not doing that no more. And then for me, it's an apartment complex, like right after that. Like if you go past that hotel, past the gateway, at the stop sign, that's where I lived. So like it was like from like, man, my bed is right here. I don't want to like stay.
Yeah.
And it was so I mean, I don't know who we played at. It may have been Iowa. We may have had an early game when we played Iowa. I don't know, but I was like, no, we can't do that no more. So
how about when you were living
never
in Larch? How about living in Larch? I mean, wouldn't there have been like just people running up and down the hallway, knocking on doors, doing stupid shit? And
no, you were knocking on my door like that.
That's it. Like it. Nah.
Who stayed where? Right. So, for the most part, we had a cool floor. I lived on the 8th floor, so a lot of people wasn't coming up there that much anyways. But you know, for the basketball team and everything like that, they really didn't. We had some football players that lived in Larch too, a couple on our floor, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. And then after my freshman year, I didn't live in Larch anymore. You know, moved into the apartments or whatever. But no, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I guess my freshman year, you know, you was a kid, you just happy wherever you're gonna get some sleep and try to, you know, get up for the next day and survive the day. But you know, after you get the grips of it and everything and understand, like even now, I hate staying in hotels. I hate living out of a suitcase. I hate all of that. When I go back to Louisiana to my mom's house, I go to my mom and dad's house. And my room, my bed that I've had in there for years, like, man, they already know. I'm not staying in no hotel. I hate staying in hotels. I've always been like that. So, like, when that happened, I said, no, man, I can't. You know, well, you had a good game. I don't give a damn what kind of game I had. That was terrible. I had a will, like, mentally a good game and come out and play. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Now, Brent, did you prefer that, being able to stay at a hotel, or would you have preferred to stay in your own bed?
I mean, I honestly didn't know any other way. So I don't know what it'd be like to stay at home. You know, even my roommate got in trouble when we were staying in the hotels because his girlfriend lived in those apartments behind where we stayed at. So ended up sneaking. So I'm like, it's, you know, it's just one of those, you know, I was one of those dudes. I was very visual and I was really cool with just being in a room. I could put my headphones on and just zone out. So I was okay. But I knew in my apartment or wherever I was staying at, I'd be super distracted. So for me, that was my getaway. I could just lock in and focus on the game and not think about nothing else. So I definitely preferred the hotel, you know. So
all right. So if college football 2025 was around during that time, are you spending more time playing that before the game, or are you focusing on the game?
Oh, all day long. You got to play like you play whoever you're playing. Iowa State versus Baylor. Okay, boom. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're gonna thump them tomorrow. It's 42-14. Yeah, we got to do this tomorrow. So that's a guarantee.
And Marcus, have you created your own player that's 6'8" in shoes as a tight end?
Man, I hadn't played a video game in 20 years. I'm just not. I'm just not a gamer. I remember. Probably about 20. It's 2024. Literally after you know what a guy that I was real close with or whatever during the time, Eddie Griffin, that played for the Minnesota Timberwolves. You know, after he passed away, because he played for the Timberwolves. He played for the Rockets too, and he used to play like NBA Live with him and Yao Ming, and they were shot blockers. And so like, there's nothing you can come through the lane and. After he passed away, like I couldn't like play the game no more, and I had really hit play video games in years and years. Like I said, Junior got a PlayStation right here. You got one at school. You got all these monitors and stuff. And I'm like, man, have at it. Like if I played the video game, I would get slaughtered. Slaughtered. So.
Well, he's 21 today, believe it or not. My 21-year-old pulled me into his game. He kicks my butt every time. I don't get it. It's hard. Now, give me those graphics with like super Tecmo Bowl, I'm all in. But
those are the cheat codes. Those are cheat code games. Right.
You got 4 buttons. You good.
Those are the cheat code games, or the games where, like, you got games now where you cannot have the strongest team, but guys know how to play, just like the defenses Brent was just saying, all of that, and you know how to scheme and can, knock off the top teams. So I don't know none of that. I don't know spy, gap. No. I'm just trying to run this sweep, and everybody coming like, nah, I'm good. Call of Duty, none of that. I don't play none of that.
So he simulated the Iowa State-Iowa game. I won't tell you what happened, but we'll like the outcome.
We won. We won by a field goal.
I won't tell you what happened. It's going to be a good game. Trust me.
There you go.
So as we skip ahead a week now, I want to pull this up. We've got a graphic for everybody who's able to watch, but we'd like to invite everyone out to join us. We're doing a Cyhawk pregame special edition of In the Side of the Storm. It's going to be held at Coach's Kolaches there. In what's the address, Brent?
2777 100th Street in Urbandale.
100th Street in Urbandale. We'd love for everybody to come out and join us starting at 10 a.m. That morning of the game. We're going to have a special guest there. We're going to have the CEO of the men's basketball team, Conrad Hawley, is going to be joining us. Thank you to the sponsors that we have with Green Beret Realty, who's one of our newer sponsors, and of course, Revelton Distillery, that is able to make things like this happen. But we'd love to have everybody join us, have some interaction as we talk a little bit more about, we'll wrap up what happened here in 2 days, 2.5 days against North Dakota, and then we'll do a little preview of the Iowa State game that'll be later that afternoon in Iowa City. So hopefully everyone can join us. It should be a lot of fun, and certainly we want to welcome everybody to come in, Coach's Kolaches, and buy some kolaches. Brent, you guys sell some good stuff. Are you down at the farmers market this weekend, or are you going to be in the shop?
Just in the shop, man. Market season is officially over for us. I'm kind of back in dad mode now. So we got our son kicks off his senior year on Friday night. So I'm done with the market for this season. But we'll be locked into the shop, 7 a.m.
Something tells me it's not going to be an early bedtime Friday night then.
Oh, no. That's exactly why we're not doing farmers markets, because I usually wake up. I'm usually up at like 2:30 on Saturday mornings to get prepared for farmers markets. So, like, there's no way I'm coming home from a game at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night trying to run and doing that.
So as everyone's coming up to Ames on Saturday, stop into Coach's Kolaches on 100th Street there and buy some kolaches and come on up to Ames for the tailgating events. And before I forget, we've got a special guest next week on the 3rd. We have Eric Heft with the Iowa Cyclone Radio Network, who's going to be joining us. We all grew up with Heft doing play-by-play with Pete Taylor and with John Walter. So that should be a lot of fun to be able to get his insights on men's basketball and on the football teams in the upcoming season. So got a lot of great things coming down the pipeline within the Side of the Storm. And we want to thank everyone. We want to thank, again, our sponsors, Green Beret Realty and Revelton Distillery. Marcus, Brent, so good to see you guys. We're back at it. Football is finally here, and this is going to be a fun season. Brent,
it's like Christmas.
I'm going to hold you to that 8 win. If 8 wins would be a great year. 9 would be fantastic, and 10 would be an all-time. But get out there, cheer on the Cyclones. This Saturday is the first game to do that. And we'll see everyone next week for another edition of In the Side of the Storm.
That's it.